Hello, Daystars Youth Church. Hello, Redeemed Christian Church of God, Daystar Youth Church. This is Adewale Disu. Before I go ahead and even do anything, I want you to turn to your left, and if you would turn to your right, and look at the person next to you. And if they're not smiling, smile at them. You know, it's been said, even the Bible tells us that what we sow, we will reap. So just smile at them and say to them, you are something else. Tell them you are something else. The reason why I say that you should do that is because, the average person, it's a shame, but the average person does not invest in themselves. I'm talking about when it comes to your physical health, when it comes to your mental health, the things that you put into your mind to develop your mind and to change yourself from the inside out. And even more importantly, spiritually. In fact, the other day I saw a statistic that said that unfortunately, the number of people, even the people that are so-called Christians that attend church, is beginning to dwindle. And when I thought about that, I thought about the fact that you all don't just attend church on Sunday, but many of you pressed out from, whether it's from school, from home, from work, and you press out and you stay and you invest in yourself on a Wednesday night. It takes a special kind of individual to invest in themselves on a Wednesday night in the middle of the week when people are just messing around, wasting their time, investing in other, squandering their life doing other things that will not pay them dividend. You are investing in yourself. My prayer is that God will pay you not just 30, 60, but even 100-fold return on the investments that you place in your life. So you can see that when I tell you to turn to your left and to your right and look at that person and tell them you are a special person. You are something else. I really do mean that. So I just want to congratulate you. In fact, I was talking to your pastor again, Pastor Kunle, during past week. Like some of you know, hopefully you have seen my last video. And if you have not, then you can obviously get that from your pastors. I'm sure they will make it available to you. For those of you that saw my last video, you can see that my setting is different. I'm actually back home. My wife and I had traveled a couple of weeks ago for a book signing. We had a couple of book signing. It went tremendously well. Actually, I have my book here. We were doing, I was going around doing this. Your grass is green enough. It's available on Amazon. And I was telling your pastors about it. And I share that for a couple of reasons. Like I shared in my last video, it's not to impress you, but to impress upon you that whatever the dream is that you have, it's possible. There was a point in life when I couldn't even believe that the things that I wrote in this book were possible, not to talk of actually writing something that I felt to be of value, that I really believed and internalized, that I was able to share with other people. So book signing was great. We were there in New York, and we went there on Saturday and we stayed there till Wednesday, and we came back to Florida, and now we're here in beautiful, sunny Florida, loving the weather. And I hope that the weather over there in Nigeria is wonderful as well. It's wonderful. It starts to get cold in New York, so it was good to come back here where the sun is. You know us in Africa. We don't do too well with the cold. We have Hamatan, but the weather is not very cold like in places like up north or like in even the eastern parts like in New York City. So last video, another reason why I wanted to hope that you've listened to it, because I really believe that before you listen to what I'm sharing, it's very important to know why I'm sharing it and even who I am. So I shared a little bit of that. I was a little bit candid, a little bit transparent. I hope you realize that. And I hope that you gravitated towards the things that I shared. I really believe that what I do, informing and inspiring people, I shared that last time. My goal is to inform and inspire people so that they're equipped and empowered to win in life. I said I agree with Pastor Olumide Emmanuel, who says that if you're not informed, you'll be deformed. If you're not inspired, you will expire. And he says that basically if you're not updated, you'll be outdated. And if you're not in the know, you cannot be in the flow. So I believe information, what comes inside us, is very important. And I also said inspiration because I really believe that sometimes I was there where it was hard for me to even act on the things that I knew, because I thought to myself, I've done this before and it's not worked out. Why is it going to be different now? And I remember one point in time when I was actually really in my lowest times, and I shared this in my last video. I shared some things, but I don't think I shared this. One of the people that I listened to was a speaker by the name of Les Brown. And remember, one of his messages was called It's Possible. And I'm telling you right now, and I want to interrupt that story that is going on in your mind that is telling you, hey, this is just another person saying something, or yes, it's fine for you, and that's why I wrote this book. Your grass is green enough. The grass is not green on the other side. Some people might be thinking, well, maybe if I was also in the United States, maybe if I was a guy, maybe if I had this, maybe if my parents were this, maybe if. I want to tell you that your grass is green enough. I want to tell you that God did not make a mistake. And it's the same God that I serve that can do all things for you. He can do the things that seem impossible for you. And let me tell you, he's no respecter of persons. Another thing that I want to let you know is that there's something in me that is communicating to something in you. And if there's something in you that can relate, that is proof positive that your dream is possible. I tell you again that your dream is possible. So I remember when I was listening to this guy and he was talking about it's possible. It was very hard for me to believe it was possible. And he shared different stories. He shared stories of how he was going to, he was calling this office, calling and saying, hey, look, I want to speak to your people. And I was thinking to myself, at that point in time, I couldn't even believe that I could speak to people. I couldn't believe that I could do what I'm doing right now, making a video that someone would actually want to watch, writing a book that people will actually want to read, giving a speech that people will actually want to listen to, preaching or teaching a sermon that people will actually want to believe in. I couldn't believe that I would coach people that would pay me, that I would be able to earn in an hour, more than I was earning in a week. I couldn't believe that was possible for me. And I remember I listened to this guy's story. He said he called. I said, where is this story going? He says, finally, the lady picked up and she says, hey, look, Les Brown, I want you to order at least $50,000 worth of tapes. Let me tell you something. Back then, $50,000 was a lot. It still is a lot of money. And how many of you know that when you're actually making $50,000, that someone is not paying you as a salary, but you actually earn this from your hard labor? It's something else. It's something to write home about. So he was making she said, write about $50,000 to $60,000 worth of your taping material. Our people, our salespeople, were supposed to come and speak to a bunch of salespeople. He said, our people will pay for that and even more. He says, oh, really? So he called up the guy that does his tapes. And at that point in time, he didn't have enough credit. This person, he hadn't sold that much. So when he called the person says, I want to duplicate these tapes. I want to make these tapes for you. But what happens if I make $50,000 to $60,000 worth of tape? I only sell $500. Then I'm going to be stuck with all this inventory. He says, no, I want to speak to the lady that says that you have the gig. So he calls the lady up. He says, hey, let's do a three-way. He says, hey, Evelyn, that was her name. He says, Evelyn, so what did you say? Do I have the gig? He says, yes, you have the gig. He says, okay, and is there anyone else I need to speak to? He says, no, there's no one else you speak to. I'm the one and I want you. He says, and how much worth of tape do you say? He said, make $50,000 to $60,000. You will sell that and more. He says, is that it? He says, yes, that's it. He says, dude, Ron, I think that was the name of the guy. He says, I told you, duplicate the tapes. Oh, ye of little faith. He hung up the phone. He says, one day, he was supposed to send it about a week. A week passed, no contract. He was thinking to himself. 2 weeks passed, no contract. It was going on a month, no contract. He says, Murphy, Murphy's Law. Anything that can happen in the worst times, in the worst way, will happen. So Murphy's Law was knocking on his door. He says, hey, Les Brown, do you think you might want to call this lady and figure out what's going on? He says, don't start with me, Murphy. Don't start with me. So he calls up the lady and she doesn't pick up. Another guy, we call him Donnie. He picks up the phone. Says, hey, how you doing, Les? He says, hey, I'm doing okay, Donnie. Evelyn was supposed to send me a contract. It's been almost a month now. Is there any problem? Is there any other information that she needs so that I can go ahead and start processing this contract? He says, oh, Les, you didn't hear? He says, no, what? He says, Evelyn, she died. He says, what? She died? He says, did she say anything about me? Oh my God. It sounds funny, but I was like, oh my goodness, I can relate to what he's talking about. He says when he got home, he was wiped out. He says he was so tired. He says Murphy's Law came to him and says, hey, Les Brown, is it possible that you want to listen to some of your motivational tapes? Oh, God is good, eh? Sometimes when people see the things that you're going through that seem positive, they don't see the struggle that you've been through. So I want to interrupt that story. It's possible. It's possible. It's possible. All things are possible. So that leads me to my message for today. What do I want to speak about? Speaking to your pastor, Pastor Kunle, he says that a lot of you gave some great feedback, and also you actually were saying that it wasn't enough. I said, what do you mean? It wasn't enough. It was almost 13 minutes worth of things. I was actually shocked, but it was a pleasant surprise. Because here, when I make videos, I remember a guy, and this gentleman, he's into personal development. But I made a video, it was about 5 minutes or so, maybe 8 minutes long. He was saying, Wale, you don't know. When you get to 3 minutes, people start to tune out. It's like, that's too much. I was like, even me right now, and I'm listening to Pastor Sam, he has a message on leadership. After that, he's going to do question and answers. So that's probably easily 2 hours, maybe 3. And I said, I will sit down and watch that stuff like I'm watching a movie. And the thing that I've learned is that many people they have that entertainment mindset that they don't value the education. But it's that education that will develop you and grow you. And so when he told me that you all wanted more, I was very excited. I was very excited because I told him as much as I can, as I'll find time to do it, if it's a blessing to you and as long as it's adding value to you, because I know where I was and I know that it's the truth that sets you free. And so I'm very appreciative whenever anyone can give me the truth. And so if I can go ahead and pay to you guys, and you guys can in the future pay forward, I'm looking forward to hearing how your life has been transformed by any of my videos. So I really believe that it's all glory to God. And I'm just appreciative and honored and humbled by the fact that he would use me as a stepping stone to propel you all into your greatness. Amen. Okay, so today I want to talk about this. We are getting, it's October 18th, and we are going into the end of the year. Some of you might be really hesitant. Some of you might be very frustrated. Some of you might be very saddened by the year. Some of you started out really strong, but then you started to lose steam. Some of you didn't start out strong at all. And some of you are just, you're just saying, I'm ready for this year to be over. But what I want to encourage you today is that you should finish strong. Finish strong. There's a statement in the Bible that says, Lord, teach us to number our days. Yes, I really believe that the God that we serve also says that he is a restorer. He's a person that can restore the years that the cankerworm and the locust has eaten. So he can restore unto us. But I really believe that time is like, and your life is like money. If you don't budget for it, you will squander it. Even worse, other people will help you squander your life. There's a statement that says that you should build your dreams. This is by Tony Gaskin. Build your dreams or someone else will hire you to build theirs. I'm telling you something. Build your dreams or someone else will hire you to build theirs. The late Dr. Miles Monroe says this. He says, anyone that says I'm killing time is committing suicide. Don't say I'm killing time. You're committing suicide. So every day, it's just, I know someone is struggling with this because you're saying, well, I'm going to start off January 1st and I want to challenge you. No, don't even wait until tomorrow. Start now. And you have started now because you're watching this video. You came to church. You're investing in yourself. So start now. What will help you finish strong? I want to give you 3 major things that have helped me to transform my life. And I'm going to share some things with you to help you finish strong. So in order to help you finish strong, I think about a racer. The Bible says, when Paul was talking about it, he says that you don't run a race. People that run the race, they don't run a race just to run it. They run it to win a crown, a prize. He says that don't just start the race, but run it, endure to the end. It's the one that endures to the end that will win the prize. I think about those racers, Usain Bolt, someone like that is running. You're really running. And Gatling, you're running and it's, you don't just slow down when you get at the end. Look at Usain Bolt. When he gets to the end, he just gets into 4th gear, 5th gear. He just starts to separate from people. So it's not just how you start. It's how you finish. And I want to encourage you to finish well. So what are some things that you can do to help you finish well? I want you to think about this. What, why, and how. What, why, and how. In fact, I'm going to twist it to say why, how, and what. But let's start with what, why, and how. What I mean by that, what do you want? Then I want to ask you a question. Why do you want it? These are some principles that I help even my coaching clients. And then how do you intend to get it? We're going to do some work today. There are some people that will preach, and the Lord said, and the Lord said, and he said, I don't consider myself one of those preachers. And it is a place and a time for that, where you exhort people and you make them feel good, run around the church. I'm the kind of person, you bring your pencil, your pen, turn on your mind, and let's begin to change ourselves from the inside out. Because I know the power of it. It encourages you when you see your life change. I'll give an example, because this was some things I was trying to share with even people in my life. These are things I was trying to share them, that first within and then without. When I heard that principle, first within and then without, every change happens on the inside out. And people in my job would not see this. I remember when I used to live, and I wasn't getting along with people, even in terms of professional relationships. And I read a book. It was titled How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And in the book, one of the principles he taught was basically you don't kick. The best way to get honey is by not kicking the beehive. You don't kick the beehive and try to gather honey that way. It's very counterintuitive. It's counterproductive. So what do? So I remember there was a lady where I used to work, and it was so bad because they used to actually call her the cone of destruction. The guy used to sit next to her in a cubicle, and he says that I was seated at the cone, like a hurricane, at the cone of destruction. And this person was supposed to be in management. But I found out John Maxwell teaches something. He teaches about the 5 levels of leadership. Permission, lowest one, position, then permission, then reproduction. So there are different levels. There are 5 levels, but the lowest level is position. What does that mean? It means that even though you have a title, whether you're a pastor, your elder, your father, your mother, your teacher, in this case, your manager, will people follow you if you didn't have the title? If you're the kind of person that has to say, you have to listen to me because I am the head of this house. You have to listen to me because I'm your elder. You have to listen to me because you're throwing in your title. That's what differentiates leaders from managers. Managers are managers because they have their titles. It's possible for you to be a manager without being a leader. And not every leader has an official or a formal position. So this person had a position, but they weren't truly a leader, because it says that if no one is following you, you are taking a stroll. And this person was just taking a stroll. People followed them because of the fear of being reprimanded on a job basis. But personally, there was no respect. People didn't really like the way this person governed. And so I remember this person sending me an email that made me feel very small. It was almost abusive in the email, saying all manner of things. They stopped short of abusing me. It was almost like, is your head not correct? Can't you see that you're supposed to do this and that? Who does this? Blah, blah, blah. So I too, I wasn't a minister at the time. I wasn't an elder, but I sent a reply email. My wife calls it nice nasty, where you know that I'm abusing you, but I don't come out and tell you that I'm abusing you. So I sent a reply. So my boss and her boss, I hate the word boss, my director and her director called us, and this person said, okay, come to my office. He said, well, is there anything wrong? I said, no, why is there anything wrong? What are you talking about? I saw your email. I was still denying it. No, there's nothing wrong. Then when he kept pressing, I said, well, look at the email that this person sent too. And we kept going back and forth. And that person kept saying to me, he said, Wale, would you send that to the campus president? Why are you doing that? And we're going back and forth. And this is what I want to share with you, is that value the things that you are pouring into yourself, because it's actually changing your life. I shared it in my last video that, you can go and visit someone and say, you've grown so much, and you can't see it. So I remember it was almost like, if you've seen the movie Karate Kid, I was doing this principle and I didn't even know that I was actually learning. And so the thought came to my head. There was a statement that said, a man or a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. This was from the same book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Let me pause and say this. If me or someone else, this is something that has really blessed my socks off. And if you're taking notes, if you're taking mental notes, this could bless you. If someone refers to someone, whether as a supportive resource or quoting them as a main source, it will behoove you to research that person. I remember reading books by Pastor Sam and different people, and they would say Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, this person, that person, Steve Harvey. I will write down who is Steve Harvey, who is Napoleon Hill, who is this person. They'll quote a Bible verse because I want to know who is influencing the person that is currently influencing me. So when a speaker is speaking about somebody, so if I say something and I speak about someone, go and research who that person is. So in this case, it was Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Great book on human relations. And I used that technique and I told this person the thought, and I wasn't using it just as an aesthetic thing. I was actually sincere. I said, you know what? You are probably right. I said, I can see that if you were the campus president, I probably wouldn't direct my frustration towards you the way I would. I would use more tact. I said, and in the same way, you're probably right. I didn't go about this right. I apologize. All of a sudden, the person's defenses were low. Things began to turn around. This person came to me and says, you know what, Wale? I'm sorry. You're right. I was like, wow, this thing works. So many people look at it and they think to themselves, nothing is happening. But I've left a lot of my mates behind because I was investing myself on the inside out. And those people are still where they were. And I have moved on. So your case will be different. As you invest in yourself, I just wanted to let you know your case will be different. So what do you want? Why do you want it? And how do you intend to get it in order to finish strong? I listened to Elle Nightingale yesterday in a message that he had, and he was saying that the average person doesn't know how much money they want. They just want to know, I want more money. How much exactly to the dollar amount, naira amount? How much do you want? And how much do you want to be worth by the age of retirement? When do you want to retire? These are questions that people don't ask themselves. So I want to pause and say this. Yes, I want to ask you what you want. And that what could be who? Your what could be who? It could be I want to marry someone. That could be what you want. Marriage. Who do you want to marry? Your what could be where I want to be. Where I want to be physically, geographically. I want to be in the United States. I want to be in London by 2017. It might be a place, a state of mind. I want to be in a better place. I want to be in a better place in my relationships. It could be a state. I want to be in a better place financially. So where do you want to be? It could be part of the what you want. But I want to start with why. Because if I ask a lot of people might say to themselves, yes, Wale, I know exactly what I want. But one thing I ask my clients is why? There's a YouTube video, a TED Talk video, very good, by a gentleman called Simon Sinek. Sinek. And it's called The Power of Why. It's also called Start With Why. And in that video, he says that most people, even companies, start with what, how, and then why. But he says go the other way. Let the nucleus be why. And from the why, you build your how and what. John Maxwell says, he who knows how will always have a job. He who knows how to do something will always have a job. But he who knows why will always be his boss. Think about that. He who knows, how will always have a job, but he who knows why will always be his boss. So I want to challenge you to be why. I always tell people I'm a why guy. I always want to find out why. Some of you, your why is not deep enough. Your why for what you're doing, the reason why you're not passionate, the reason why you give up so easily is because your why is not really your why. It's your parents' why. You're a doctor or you're going to law school or something like that to try and prove to someone else that you are better than something. You're trying to prove to your relatives, your family members, you're trying to impress people. They say just like money, spending money you don't have, to buy things you don't need, to impress people you don't like and who don't care. You're spending money you don't have, to buy things you don't even need, to impress people who you don't like and people that don't even care that you exist. The same thing we do our lives. We spend our lives like we spend money. We're trying to impress people who don't care. So why are you doing what you're doing? I really believe that there should be three things. Your why should move you to glorify God. If I was your creator and you weren't doing something that I designed you to do, imagine if someone took my book and just started using it as a hammer. I would be like, hey, or using it to hit flies, or to use Google Adekpa. I'll be like, are you okay? This is not, to offend me. Even if it wasn't you that created it, as I took your shirt and I was using it wrongly. I took your car and I was using it wrongly. I took something that you had, your microphone, and I was using it wrongly. It would offend you. How much more when you created it? So to glorify God, it has to be something. Your why has to be something that would to glorify God. Another thing would to be impactful, to add contribution, to be bigger than you. One of the videos I'm going to talk about Joseph. That's one of the most fascinating stories I know of in the Bible. And I'm going to talk about that because Joseph says, it wasn't just about me. It was about you guys. It was about getting a posterity for you guys, preserving them. So sometimes your why is bigger than you, it's bigger than someone than them. And then also your why is also a little bit selfish. It's about you too, because it's about bringing you fulfillment. You'll be fulfilled in that. So why do you want what you want? In fact, let's pause. Let's do an exercise really quickly. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to, we're going to start really slow and then we're going to go even on a grander scale. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine that we are December 31st, 2016. We're about to bring in the new year, okay? And you know what? It's been on that hour. It's like 11:50. And we are thinking about it. You're hearing the noise. What kind of noise will you hear? Are people celebrating? Are you usually in church, praising God? What are you doing? Are you hearing firecrackers? Sometimes we call them bangers in Nigeria. Are they throwing firecrackers? People already, kissing each other, saying Happy New Year, hugging their loved ones. What are they doing? Toasting. And think about it, 11:50, it's 11:51, 11:55, it's 11:59. 10 seconds to New Year. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Think about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. It's now January 1st, 2017. What will make you say, wow, thank you, Lord. It was worth it. January 2016 and 17. I did everything I needed to do in 2016 to help me usher in correctly 2017. What do you need to do? What do you need to do? One of the things I wanted to do was write a book. One of the things I wanted to do was begin my business. One thing I wanted to do was to begin to speak. One of the things I wanted to do was to make a better contribution in terms of ministry, doing videos, to do coaching. What are some of the things that you want to do? One of the things I'm going to share behind me is a representation of my why. Behind me is what you call a vision board. For those of you that don't know, it's a pictorial representation. I write about this in my book. Pictorial representation of things that you want. One of the things that we just did right now is that you use your imagination. We're not here in December 31st. It's still October. But we're able to use that with our imagination. Go to the past, go to the future, and even create things that were not as though they were in our imagination. So on my clipboard, my vision board is a pictorial representation of different things with my health. Your vision board will look different. But when you do things like that, when you write the vision down, when you figure out first and foremost, why is it? And it's going to take time for some of you that you haven't done this, to do it. In fact, I can stop here and say, write down 10 reasons why. You say, this is why I want what I want. Then you